Today I'm going to show you how we turn this into this. Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to be doing a paint video. Everyone always asks us for paint videos, so it seems like a good idea to do one today. This one is going to be a Sunburst for our good buddy Philip McKnight. See, you can even see his name on the old fretboard there, because everybody should have a guitar with their name on the fretboard, duh. So this one is going to, let's see. This one has been sealed with Semtex sealer and it's been scuffed back. That's why it kind of looks a little hazy, if you will. This has a treatment on the back. This has been pre-painted Sunburst on the back. We were trying a new technique that we like, and I'm not sure if we're going to do it again, but we try new stuff here in the shop all the time. But this one's going to get a burst on the top. It's going to get some color on the neck. It's going to get a headstock logo and some color on the headstock. I'm going to get that on my shirt there so you can see it. Some color on the headstock too. This is a bound body. This has ABS binding on the body. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get behind the camera and point the camera at Chris while he walks us through all the different steps. And I'm going to try to give you guys, as in-depth of a look into spraying a Sunburst and masking and logoing and all of that stuff as I possibly can. So enough with the bullshit talk, let's get busy.
Okay. Hey everybody, this is Chris, and like Matt said, we are going to prep this guitar and get it ready to paint and then take it into the paint booth and paint it. The first thing that we have to do, that I like to do, is degrease it. Because of when I'm sanding it, I'm just using my hands. There might be some contamination on the surface, something like that, and I want to get all the oil and stuff like that off of it. That helps to make the tape stick, and it will also help the paint go on. So the first thing we do is we use a product called Final Wipe Solvent. It says it removes oils, wax, silicones, and it evaporates fast. And you can use, there's a bunch of different stuff like this. You can use mineral spirits, naphtha. We used to use water and rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle. I still use that occasionally. This will also get all the excess dust off of it. And I tried doing this with rubber gloves on, but I can't mask with rubber gloves on. I can't feel the tape. Okay, so now I'm going to start masking. The first thing I'm going to mask is the fretboard. I've found that no matter how tight you try to mask the frets, paint can still get under it, so I don't spend a lot of time doing it, getting it tight.
One of the things that we discovered about this step is you can make life easier by doing it more often, right?
Yeah.
What is that? What's the big idea behind that?
Doing it, instead of masking it once and leaving the
yeah.
leaving it on forever. By the time it's time to strip the tape off, it's got so many coats of sealer and paint and stuff like that. It's actually quite difficult to get off. So I try and spray sealer and then peel it off, and then if I have to do more sealer, tape it again and do like that rather than let it sit for the entire time.
So what are you doing here, Chris?
So I'm masking I'm folding it over the front of the fingerboard because I don't want to have a whole bunch of paint that I have to file off of that for where the neck goes. Alright, so the fingerboard is masked. Next, we're going to mask the binding on the side of the neck.
All right, so what do we got here, Chris?
So this tape is 3M fine line 1/4 inch tape. It's a lot like electrical tape, not quite as stretchy, but it goes around curves well and is pretty sticky.
This is actually designed for the automotive industry, right? For
Correct.
paintwork.
Yeah.
It's not electrical
Yeah.
tape.
It's not electrical tape. It's for doing exactly what we're doing with it, which is masking, and it leaves a clean edge, unlike painter's tape and frog tape and all of those kind of Home Depot kind of tapes. You don't always get a clean edge. Paint can bleed underneath this kind of tape. It will not bleed. So as you can see, we've got binding, and then we've got a little strip of the rosewood from the fingerboard underneath that. So what I want to do is I want to mask off both the plastic binding and that rosewood, but I don't want to go so far that I end up with any of the white maple showing when we peel the tape. So you have to be pretty careful to mask it off exactly perfect. But the neat thing about this tape is you can peel it off and do it again. Everything is okay. Everything is maple tape. And I don't like to stretch this tape. You can pull it taut, but don't stretch it because it'll get thinner than 1/4 of an inch, and then it's almost impossible to mask it. So now that's done, but I'm going to run a row of this around the outside because you can see little bits of the fret, and I just as soon not have to scrape color off of the frets. So the reason this works so well is because the wood's all sealed up, and there's no open pores for color to bleed under and things like that. You'll remember we made a video not too long ago of us masking off raw wood with this same tape and then applying stain. And even if we had sprayed the stain or the dye, it wouldn't have worked as well as this does because this is completely sealed up and the paint just sits on top. All right, now it's time to mask the body. We're going to mask the top of the binding tight up against it. Once again, we don't want to have the tape go onto the maple, but we want to get all the binding width that we can. Normally on a burst project like this, I would mask the top and then I would have to mask the sides, and I would do the top and the sides and the back all at the same time. But this guitar has a little bit different process going. So as you can obviously see, the back and sides have already been burst. So I'm just going to mask them off completely and just shoot the top and shoot the neck. So I always like to start with the hardest part first. I think that's so I don't, once I get this good, then the rest of it's pretty easy. And what I'm trying to do is, like I said, mask all of the binding but none of the maple. And if I end up with a little bit of binding showing, that's better than overlapping onto the maple. And I know what somebody's feverishly typing right now, and that's, why don't you scrape it? The reason that we don't scrape is because if I do a really good job of masking, and I can pull tape and I can redo it over and over until it's perfect. When you're scraping, if you scrape too far, that's it. You can't go back and put more color on that spot. So I prefer masking to scraping.
What happens if you attempt to put more color on that spot?
Because it's translucent, everything else around it will be darker.
Yeah.
And then it'll be maybe the right color.
So it's the right hue, but it's just not the right,
but it's not the
like,
right
depth of paint
depth
or
of color. Yeah.
but babe, I'm feeling squirrely. I got something to do. I'm getting thirsty, so please don't hurt me. I got the honky tonk blues. You know I need it, yeah, I'm gonna feel it. I gotta set my mind right. Make it a double, I'm causing trouble. I'm getting loaded tonight. Come on, baby, give me a drink. I ain't fooling around, yeah, give me a drink. You know it's useless. You make excuses.
I want it
Real time.
to be people to leave the room while it's playing, come back and it's still taping. Oh, we could do that. Yeah, that would be great.
Getting sick. The night ain't over. I'm far from sober. It's hitting me like a brick. Come on, baby, give me a drink. I'm fooling around, yeah, give me a drink. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me right now. Give it to me, give it to me.
So I predict that someone's going to say, it took you a long time to tape that. I can scrape faster than it took you to tape that, which is total hogwash.
I will say prove it.
Yeah.
Because really it didn't take me all that long.
No, it didn't. And I think that if all things are equal, it would not take you very long to do. Now, if you sprayed like the lightest little bit of mostly stain with some paint in it, you can scrape it off fairly effectively, like Gibson
Yeah.
does.
Mm-hmm.
But if you spray paint properly, it's considerably thicker than that.
Yeah, so I have it on good authority that Gibson on their bursts, on their translucent yellow, red, brown colors, use dyed shellac,
Okay.
which dries almost powdery.
Yeah.
And yeah, paint likes to stick a little more than that stuff would.
And we know for a fact that on the Pelham Blue Les Paul Custom that was in the shop the other day, it had to have been masked.
Yeah.
There's no way it
You
wasn't
can, you
masked.
can tell. Yeah, you can tell paint lines from
Yeah.
and tape lines from scrapes. All right, so that's that.
Come on!
Now, it's important to point out that the reason that we're masking this is because we were trying a new technique, something that we do with great regularity here in the shop, try new things. And if this were just sealed up, we wouldn't have to do all this. We would just spray the Sunburst just like we normally would, and it would be a no-brainer. But if you're not trying new stuff in your own shop, then you're not exactly growing. You're just sort of stagnating.
Nobody likes stagnating.
No.
Yeah, so in a lot of ways, this is the long way around the barn.
Now, why are we even painting the neck at all? Because it looks pretty cool just like that.
You really want to know?
Yeah, let everyone know.
Because of that little spot right there.
So sometimes, you don't know what's going to be inside the wood until you start carving it, and that's
Yep.
one of the bummer parts. Do you think, Chris, that that's ever happened to, I don't know, say a guitar company like, just for the sake of conversation, Gibson?
Oh, no. No. Yeah, you pick a piece of wood and you think, oh, this is a nice clear piece of wood, and you start hacking at it, and little things like that show up.
What,
You don't want to throw away the neck, because it's still a fine neck, and it's still a good-looking piece of wood. It's just got that. And some people actually like that kind of stuff.
Can you look at a paint job and tell some things about the wood sometimes?
Yeah, you can. And
Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, I think a lot of the classic Sunburst techniques that people use are to cover up hard to paint areas or hard to get the wood to look good areas. One of the classic Sunburst kind of things is you paint right in here, and that's where end grain would be, which can tear out and leave ugliness. Same with the back end. I think the whole idea of putting a burst here and here is to cover up just a lot of woodworking mishaps. Alrighty, well, I think we're ready.
Okay, y'all, so this video ran way longer than we thought it was going to, and I think it's going to be a good idea to do it in 2 parts. So we're going to end the unfun part, that is to say, all the prep work and the masking, and we're going to pick it up in part 2 with all the fun bits, and that is all of the painting and peeling the masking, and we're going to see how cool it looks when we do everything right the first time. So, if you guys have any questions about what we did or any of the products that we used, please leave them in the comment section below. If you like this kind of content, you might want to go over to our Patreon page and consider becoming a member. Even $1 a month goes a long way to helping us bring you guys neat stuff like this. But if you can't do Patreon, we totally get it. Just share the video as many places as you can possibly imagine and help us grow the channel that way. So until the next video, part 2, this is Matt at Texas Toast reminding you that if you're so smart, start your own YouTube channel. That's what I did. Thanks for watching, you guys. We'll see you next time.
I wanna play my guitar,